What if the most beautiful part of your home was something you almost threw away? In this video, I'll show you how recycled bottles, yes, the ones you nearly tossed, can become timeless English cottage decorations. Simple, soulful, achievable. This is Archon Aesthetic Studio, where design meets meaning. Today, it's not just about decorating, it's about reimagining what's already yours. Timestamps are included, so skip ahead as needed. Questions? Drop them in the comments. And if something here speaks to you, recreate it. Use what you have and make it your own. Maybe to you, I'm just another video in the scroll. But behind this screen, there's a real story and a small family dreaming big. This isn't just content. It's a quiet piece of who we are. Every like, every comment, every subscribe. It means more than you know. When you click that button, you're not just following a channel. You're helping a dream stay alive. One click, one hope, one honest story at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing the person behind the screen. One, front yard welcome. In the quiet hours of morning, where dew still clings to lavender stems and the sun is just beginning to tiptoe through garden blooms, there stands something unexpected. An archway, made not of carved stone or ornate iron, but of humble, colored glass bottles, rescued from the bin, reimagined into something that now catches the light like stained glass in a village chapel. This is not just a garden entrance. It is a welcome, crafted with intention, built with care. Each bottle, once discarded, now a window of color through which the wildflowers dance. It asks nothing fancy from you, just the patience to collect, the joy of arranging, and a vision of what could be. Step a little closer, and you'll find a flower that doesn't bloom in spring or wilt in winter. A green glass birdbath, shaped like a blossom, catching soft drops of water and whispers of wind between pots of lavender and thyme. It's simple, almost quiet, but it says, I was made by someone who wanted beauty to feel approachable. You don't need a studio or a big budget. Just an old bottle, a warm afternoon, and a little wonder. As dusk falls, the front porch begins to glow. Hanging bottle lanterns, pastel-tinted, floral-shaped, and softly lit from within, sway gently as the breeze arrives. They don't shout for attention. Instead, they hum a soft lullaby, making guests smile before they even knock. It's whimsical, yes, but also doable. A string, a bulb, a bit of balance. And suddenly, you're not decorating anymore. You're storytelling with light. What's beautiful about these ideas isn't just how they look. It's how they make you feel. Rooted, resourceful, romantic in the quietest way. So if you have bottles lying around, don't rush to throw them away. Let them live again. Let them become something that glows, holds water, marks a memory. Let them remind you that beauty doesn't have to be bought. It can be built, slowly, gently, lovingly. Just like a cottage, just like home. Two, whimsical garden path. There's something poetic about a garden path. It doesn't just lead you somewhere. It invites you to slow down, to notice the things that often go unseen. In this quiet English cottage setting, every step tells a story, and the path itself is part of the magic. Somewhere between thyme and chamomile, painted glass bottles rise from the soil like markers of memory, each one hand-painted with delicate blooms, standing tall amidst the herbs. These bottles don't just guide your feet, they lift your spirit. Because when you make something with your own hands, it carries a certain softness the world can feel. Just beyond, evening begins to settle in. The roses blush deeper as the sun slips lower. Along the edges of a winding stone path, simple wooden posts hold up recycled bottle lanterns, each one glowing softly like a tiny beacon of home. The light is warm, familiar. It doesn't try to impress. It only tries to comfort. And perhaps that's what makes it so beautiful. Farther down, the earth becomes softer, padded with moss. And here, a trail of pastel bottle petals weaves through the green, lavender, mint, cream, and blush, resting gently as if scattered by a breeze. There's no structure, no rules, just a quiet celebration of creativity using what was already there. That's the real wonder of ideas like this. You don't need to be a professional. You don't need to get it perfect. You just need to begin with what you have. A few old bottles, a brush, a bit of light, some time outside, listening to the wind while your hands do something slow and meaningful. Paths like these don't just connect one part of the garden to another. They connect you to the land, to your imagination, and to the simple joy of making something beautiful from nothing at all. If this inspires you, follow the path. Make your own marks. Let your bottles bloom. And let your garden tell the story only you can write. Three, Storybook garden fence. Sometimes, a garden doesn't need a grand gate or a towering wall to tell its story. All it takes is a fence touched by imagination. Along this humble cottage fence, light dances through a mosaic of old glass. Bottles once forgotten are now transformed, cut, arranged, and nested into wooden panels like sunbursts frozen in time. Morning light pours through them, casting colored shadows that drift across the flowers below like living brushstrokes. This isn't just a fence, it's a painting that shifts with the sky. Further down, you'll find something quieter. Bottles hang delicately from old wood, each holding a scroll, a flower, or a memory. There's something deeply human about this. Notes that might never be read, petals that will slowly fade, but together, they create a moment of stillness, like poetry strung along a fence line. You could make this too. Find the words you've written but never shared. Tuck them gently into bottles with bits of wildflowers from your morning walk. Let them hang in the breeze, and with time, they'll begin to tell your story too. And then, nestled beneath white picket rails, glass bottles line the edge of the garden. Upside down, bold in color, almost playful. They don't need perfection. Some are chipped, others mismatched. But they catch the sun, they hold the line, and they let foxgloves and hollyhocks rise behind them like characters in a fairy tale. This is the kind of beauty you don't buy. You build it, slowly, bottle by bottle, mistake by mistake, until it starts to feel like home. A fence like this doesn't just hold in a garden. It holds memory, light, and love, stitched together with wire and care. If you try just one thing from this video, let it be this. Let your fence become a frame and your creativity, the art it holds. Fall, handmade porch greetings. There's a kind of quiet welcome you can't buy in a store. It lives here, on this wooden porch, kissed by ivy, lit by the late afternoon sun. A simple table, a few empty bottles, now transformed into something full of presents. Each one holds a message, a dried bloom, a flickering candle. As if saying, "You're here. Sit down. You're not in a rush anymore." Sometimes, the most thoughtful decorations are the ones that whisper. You can write a memory, a wish, or even a welcome note. Tuck it into an old bottle and place it with care. It doesn't need to be perfect, just honest. Just yours. And just above, a garland strung across the porch beam carries tiny bottles filled with wildflowers. The string dips gently, like a smile. The flowers aren't arranged by rule, but by instinct. The colors don't match, but somehow it feels just right, because it's made by hand, not for show, but for feeling. It's these little touches that make a house feel like home. Then there's the breeze, soft and steady, and in it, a wind chime sings. Glass bottles, etched with delicate floral cutouts, move just enough to catch the air. Their sound is light, almost distant, like memories brushing past. Hung among vines and blooms, they don't call attention to themselves. They simply belong. That's the beauty of this kind of decor. You don't need more. You just need to notice what you already have and give it new meaning. An empty bottle becomes a vase. A string becomes a story. And your porch becomes a place where strangers might feel like old friends. So if you ever find yourself wondering what to do with what's left behind, let it greet someone. Let it light a flame. Let it speak softly in the corner of your porch. Because in a world moving fast, handmade still matters. And on a quiet porch like this, made with care, you can feel that truth in every detail. Five breezy balcony moments. Not all escapes require travel. Sometimes, all it takes is a balcony and a few glass bottles with stories left in them. Here, in the hush of afternoon light, a simple wooden chair is wrapped in florals and lavender. The breeze moves gently, lifting the scent of mint and dried blossoms tucked into jars and bottles, resting quietly in the folds of soft fabric. It's not just decoration, it's comfort made visible. This space isn't trying to impress. It only wants to hold you for a while. Above, repurposed glass bottles sway with life. Some cradle herbs, trailing ivy down the railings like living lace. Others hang empty, catching the light and carrying the green scent of thyme and rosemary. With just a rope and some intention, what was once discarded has become a celebration of growth. And as the sun begins to fade, another kind of magic takes its place. Bottles now glowing with strings of light, gentle, golden, floating midair. There is no need for design degrees or expensive materials. Just stillness, patience, and the desire to make something honest. Fairy lights in a bottle. A quiet chair surrounded by scent. The soft rustle of ivy as it climbs. These are the moments that remind us beauty doesn't shout. It lingers. It waits to be noticed. And it thrives in the smallest of places, like a balcony no bigger than a tablecloth. So if you have even one bottle and one tiny corner of space, you already have everything you need. Don't aim for perfection, just aim for peace, and let your balcony breathe with you. Six, vintage entryway whispers. There's something poetic about the way an entryway welcomes us, not just into a home, but into the rhythm of a life. In the soft hush of morning light, it begins with the simplest of gestures. A table worn with age, standing quietly by the door, holding memories inside old glass bottles. Dried flowers rest within them, pressed, preserved, and tagged by hand as though each bloom carries a name, a moment, a story someone wanted to remember. It's not grand, it's intentional. Across from it, a wall rack displays more than glass, it holds thoughtfulness. Bottles once forgotten are now clothed in lace, adorned with delicate pressed flowers. They don't need to shout to be seen. The charm is in their stillness, in the quiet love they now carry as part of the home. And then there's the mirror. Framed in colored glass, each piece a memory shaped by time, warmth glows across its edges. It reflects not only faces but a philosophy, that even what was discarded can shine again, if only given a second glance. This is not about decoration for the sake of beauty. It's about intention, emotion, and a gentle kind of sustainability that asks us to look again, at what we throw away, and at what we might still cherish. A vintage English entryway doesn't whisper trends. It whispers soul. If you have empty bottles and a desire to begin, let this be your invitation. Start with one flower, one label, one corner of your home that could use a little story. And maybe one day, when someone steps through your door, they won't just see a space. They'll feel it. Seven, framed wall memories. There's a wall in every home that holds more than just structure. It holds emotion, echoes, time. In this quiet English cottage, memories bloom not from photographs, but from fragments of what once was forgotten. Slivers of colored glass, once part of discarded bottles, now rest carefully behind old gilded frames. Pressed flowers whisper beside them, each petal stilled in time like a secret kept safe. What was once waste is now wonder. And just nearby, a worn window frame finds new life, not for looking out, but for looking inward. Tiny glass vials hang gently from twine, each containing petals and soft-rolled notes, as though someone bottled fragments of a moment. They don't speak loudly, but they linger, and that is their magic. Then there's the wreath, perhaps the most poetic of all. Bottles, reshaped and reborn, bloom into flowers in pastel hues. Mounted against aged plaster, it feels less like decor and more like an offering, a circle of gentle resilience, reminding us that beauty often comes not from newness, but from rediscovery. If you've ever held onto something just because it felt like it still had purpose, you'll understand the soul behind this. So take your time. Gather what's left behind. Old frames, broken glass, flowers fading in a book, and turn them into a wall that doesn't just decorate, but speaks. Because sometimes, the most moving art doesn't come from perfect materials. It comes from imperfect hands and the quiet belief that nothing is ever truly lost. Eight, charmed staircase steps. There's something enchanting about a staircase. It's not just a path upward, it's a quiet invitation to slow down, to notice the space between steps. In this English cottage, every step becomes a canvas of care. The morning light touches the edges of recycled glass bottles placed gently along the wooden staircase, each one holding tiny dried blooms and handwritten words, fragments of thoughts, dreams, or blessings. You don't just walk here. You feel something as you pass. Like you're not alone. Like the house is speaking softly. Further along, the railing wears a garland made not of ribbons, but of wildflowers cradled in clear glass. They rise like a vertical garden, fresh, untamed, and honest. Each bottle clings to the wood with twine, bringing nature inside in its most unassuming form. The kind that doesn't try too hard. The kind that just is. And then comes the night. The stairs are no longer lit by the sun, but by the gentle hum of candlelight, LEDs nested safely in old bottles, repurposed into lanterns of warmth. Their glow dances on the wood, giving the home a pulse. It feels like comfort, like memory, like love left on purpose. These ideas aren't complicated. They're made with what we often throw away. A bottle, a stem, a little bit of time. But in return, they give us something so rare. Presence, peace, a home that breathes with meaning. Let your staircase speak too. Let it whisper with light, scent, texture, and story. Not just a way to go up, but a way to feel deeper. Nine, Understairs Hideaway. There's something undeniably nostalgic about the quiet spaces beneath staircases, often forgotten, yet full of potential to whisper stories of comfort and charm. In a true English cottage spirit, what once may have been dead space is now transformed into a treasure trove of warmth, creativity, and memory. In the first scene, scrolls filled with handwritten wishes or old poems sit gently tucked inside recycled glass bottles, displayed like keepsakes in tiny wooden cubbies. Each one tells a silent story, perhaps a memory worth keeping, or a dream not yet lived. You can create your own time capsule by simply repurposing old bottles and filling them with notes from your children, travels, or personal thoughts. And let the Nook become a journal that never needs a pen. Just beside it, we move into a breath of green. Recycled bottles become living vessels, not just containers of memory, but of life. Herbs sprout joyfully from their glass homes, resting on rustic open shelves made of reclaimed wood. The bottles lay sideways or upright, their transparency showing roots and soil, adding texture and vitality to what could have been a blank wall. Whether you plant rosemary, basil, or creeping thyme, this vertical herb garden not only adds beauty, but function. A hint of the wild, just steps from your kitchen. And in the heart of the Nook, a soft amber glow radiates from suspended glass bottle lamps. Each one a different color, a different height, hanging with quiet pride over a small reading bench. Layered with throw pillows, surrounded by pages and pressed flowers, this hideaway becomes a retreat, a space to breathe, dream, or simply sit in stillness. Adding fairy lights inside the bottles creates a gentle luminance that feels almost magical. You don't need expensive installations. Just creativity, patience, and a few hours of your time. In truth, what these ideas share is not just resourcefulness, but intimacy. They don't scream for attention. They invite it softly. These bottles, once discarded, now hold new life. In light, in growth, in memory. So, if you ever pass by the stairs and wonder what could fill that space, maybe all it needs is a story. And maybe that story begins with a bottle. Living room legacy. There's something eternal about a quiet English cottage living room. Sunlight seeps in through linen curtains, warming the old stone fireplace, where stories seem to echo from each crevice. But today, that legacy is written not only in stone and wood, but in something as humble as a bottle. Let your eyes wander to the coffee table. A small, unassuming cluster of repurposed glass bottles stands tall, now reborn as delicate vases. Filled with a symphony of garden blooms, each one catches the morning light differently, some shimmering with soft turquoise, others completely clear, like windows to a memory. This is more than decor. It's a still life in motion. A practical idea anyone can try. Keep your favorite wine or soda bottles, remove the label, rinse them well, and let your garden take center stage. Now shift your gaze to the wooden shelf that lines the wall, suspended like a timeline. There, upcycled bottle lamps glow gently beside framed family photographs. The bottles no longer hold liquid, but light and legacy. You can create your own by placing LED bulbs into old bottles, adding vintage brass holders, or keeping it simple with warm fairy lights. Let the lamps illuminate not just the room, but the faces of those who came before you. And finally, behold the mantle, a parade of mismatched antique bottles, arranged with intention but not perfection. Each one cradles dried wildflowers, lovingly preserved. The contrast of amber, green, and cobalt against rustic stone creates a quiet poetry. This mantle doesn't just decorate the room, it remembers. It feels lived in, real, human. These ideas aren't expensive. They aren't complicated. They are honest and full of soul, just like the cottage itself. All it takes is a few saved bottles, a touch of imagination, and the will to make something beautiful from what others might throw away. So next time you finish a drink, think twice before you toss the bottle. You could be holding the beginning of a story, your story. Quiet Nook magic. In the still hush of an early morning, sunlight slips across a cozy reading corner, casting gentle shadows and soft glows onto what seems like simple glass, yet holds the heart of the home. Look closely, and you'll see stories. Tiny bottles lining the walls like memories bottled in time. Some cradle wildflowers gathered from nearby meadows, others carry handwritten quotes curling gently behind clear glass. A single phrase, scribbled in ink, can warm the soul on the loneliest of days. This is the magic of quiet spaces, of taking what's been discarded, a broken bottle, a shattered shard, and turning it into something that speaks. That large mirror, rimmed with fragments of colored glass, doesn't just reflect your face. It reflects creativity born from care. It reflects the desire to surround ourselves not with things of price, but with pieces of meaning. Old bottles become stained glass stories when placed in the right light. When framed with intention, they transform an ordinary object into a centerpiece of personal artistry. Along the windowsill, the sun dances through clear and cobalt jars filled with dried blooms and feathers, elements of the earth, preserved and repurposed. It's a humble altar to nature, arranged lovingly in recycled glass. And it tells us, nothing needs to be perfect to be beautiful. So if you've ever wondered what to do with those empty bottles hiding in a box or tucked away in a cupboard, bring them out. Let them catch the light. Let them carry dried stems, written words, or even just the air of a peaceful room. This is DIY at its most gentle. No grand plans, no hard tools. Just a quiet kind of making. A therapy made of texture, warmth, and intention. And it's something anyone, anywhere, can try. Because in every reused jar or cracked glass frame lies an invitation to see more clearly. Not just your space, but yourself. "12. Windowsill Daydreams." In the quiet hours of the morning, when the light gently spills across the floor and the world outside is still wrapped in birdsong and breeze, there's something magical about a windowsill. Here, upcycled glass bottles tell their own stories, clear, pastel, embossed. Each one catching sunlight and releasing it in soft prisms that dance across white curtains. These humble vessels, once forgotten, now hold the whispers of the countryside. Fresh herbs like thyme and chamomile, their stems reaching toward the sun like hope. Move your gaze slightly, and you'll find roses and daisies leaning out from open panes. They breathe in the breeze of the English fields, cradled in simple clear bottles. It's not just decor, it's a moment of stillness. A way to bring life into a room without noise or clutter. Just nature, glass, and intention. And there, tucked beneath the quiet glass, is memory. Bottles that cradle seashells from a distant shore, feathers collected on morning walks, dried petals from an old celebration. Each bottle becomes a chapter, a timeline, a preserved breath of something fleeting. This is more than decoration. It's a daily ritual of slowing down, of crafting beauty from what you already have, of noticing how light shifts, how time settles, how a room can feel alive simply through the quiet bloom of a flower in a bottle. If you're looking for a way to start, let this be the first step. Save that interesting bottle. Let it hold not just water, but a little bit of your story. Maybe it's a leaf, a handwritten note, a single wildflower picked by someone you love. Let your windowsill become your canvas. And the best part? You don't need a studio. You don't need to buy anything. Just a window, a bottle, a little intention. Let the sun do the rest. "13. Table of Gathered Things." There's a special kind of quiet that settles over a cottage in the morning, when golden light spills across the old wooden table and the scent of dew-kissed leaves drifts in from the garden. It's in that hush, that stillness, where beauty often hides, in a simple recycled bottle, once discarded, now reborn as a vessel of wonder. The first image captures this poetry, an assortment of glass bottles, each distinct in shape and history, has been gently arranged into a centerpiece. They hold wild blooms and clipped herbs, mint, lavender, sprigs of green, each one gathered from a backyard garden or a weekend stroll. With only water and sunlight, these forgotten bottles have become guardians of growth and memory. You don't need expensive vases or elaborate designs. You need a curious heart, a mindful hand, and the willingness to repurpose what's already around you. Moving to the second image, there's a deeper layer of storytelling. 4 seasons, 4 bottles, each filled with nature's whispers from spring to winter. Moss and blossom, stalks of wheat, autumn leaves, pine cones wrapped in cool silence. This isn't just decoration. It's a time capsule of changing skies and shifting scents. Try this yourself. Let each season leave a trace on your shelf. Label the bottles or keep them bare. What matters is the memory they hold. It's an idea that gently teaches presence and appreciation. And finally, we're welcomed into a cozy dining nook, where recycled green and clear bottles stretch across a rustic table. Acorns scatter like forgotten thoughts, and light dances between the leaves. Here, there's no need to strive for perfection, just intention. Maybe your bottles are tinted blue from a soda you shared last summer. Maybe one still smells faintly of olive oil. These stories, your stories, become the charm. If you're thinking, could I make this? The answer is yes. Clean out your used bottles. Peel the labels. Fill them with nature. A sprig of rosemary from the kitchen, dried petals from yesterday's bouquet, stones from a walk. Let your space speak of life, memory, and creativity. These are not just crafts. They're gentle acts of restoration. Beauty, after all, often begins with something reused and loved again. "14. Creative Corner Tales." In a quiet room kissed by soft morning light, creativity finds its sanctuary. Here, among the whisper of curtains and the warmth of wooden textures, lies a humble corner, a desk not for grandeur, but for imagination. Empty glass bottles, once forgotten vessels, are now reborn as storied holders of brushes, feathers, twine, and pastel-colored buttons. Each one a silent archive of possibility, each shape catching the light in its own subtle rhythm. This isn't just decor. This is memory, resourcefulness, and soul bottled. On another desk, hand-painted glass bottles bloom like wildflowers against the grain of vintage wood. Their surfaces are adorned with floral motifs, bursts of orange and lavender and ruby red, painted not for perfection, but for joy. Repurposed bottles become living canvases, transforming a workspace into a celebration of DIY spirit. The kind that asks nothing but your time, a few strokes of color, and the bravery to begin. And tucked nearby, glass jars cradle paintbrushes, pencils, sprigs of dried lavender. They aren't arranged with formality, but with affection. The kind of layout you find in places where art is made without pressure, only peace. If you've ever hesitated to make something, let this be your quiet nudge. You don't need perfection. You don't need new. What you need might already be in your recycling bin, waiting. The beauty of these English cottage-inspired ideas is that they honor the imperfect. The old wine bottle, the leftover ribbon, the spare buttons, they're not clutter. They're components of charm, tools of expression. So try this in your own space. Gather what you already have. Paint without rules. Let your bottles hold stories, not just flowers. A single feather or a brush in a jar can change how a corner feels, from storage to studio, from ordinary to enchanting. And in doing so, your creative corner becomes more than decor. It becomes an extension of you, quietly, beautifully, uniquely yours. "15. Cupboard of Forgotten Treasures." In the gentle hush of an English countryside afternoon, where golden light kisses the edges of an old wooden cupboard, a quiet story begins to unfold. It is a tale not of opulence or extravagance, but of memory, softly bottled, lovingly preserved, and tenderly displayed. Here, aged glass bottles once discarded now stand tall, reborn as vessels of nostalgia and nature. Some are frosted, others clear and speckled with time, each one cradling the simplest of treasures. Feathers that danced in the breeze, herbs gathered from a sunlit garden, dried petals from blooms long past their prime. Together, they speak not of clutter, but of sentiment, little keepsakes made beautiful again by context and care. As your eyes travel across the shelves, you'll notice how intentional their arrangement feels. Nothing here screams for attention. Instead, the beauty whispers. A handwritten tag tied with twine, a sprig of chamomile resting against a lace-draped book, a tiny figurine beside a bottle of dried rose. These are moments paused in time, reminding us that even the smallest fragments of life, when treated with love, can become art. This is not just decoration. This is the poetry of preservation. If you're inspired by this aesthetic and wonder where to begin, start with what you already have. That glass soda bottle? Rinse it, peel off the label, and let it dry in the sun. Fill it with dried lavender or a single quill found on a morning walk. Tie it with ribbon, or leave it bare. Pair it with a few vintage books or a crocheted doily if you have one. The magic lies in the mix of textures, tones, and stories. Let your instincts guide you, not rules. This style is perfect for anyone drawn to slow living and the charm of forgotten corners. It costs little but offers much: comfort, creativity, and a quiet kind of beauty that grows richer with every glance. Because in the end, cottagecore isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. And sometimes, the most meaningful decor comes not from stores, but from memories and moments we choose to honor. "16. Kitchen of Honest Things." In the quiet hush of morning, where sunlight dances gently across the kitchen sink, there stands a humble row of bottles, once forgotten, now reborn. Recycled glass vessels, now filled with fresh sprigs of rosemary and wild daisies, catch the golden light and bring a sense of calm into this small English cottage. There's a kind of poetry in giving old bottles a second life, turning waste into beauty and simplicity into art. This isn't just decoration. It's a rhythm of slow living, a quiet rebellion against the disposable, and a return to the meaningful. Placing flowers in glass on a windowsill may seem small, but it invites peace, it softens the day. These little acts matter. A few steps away, on wooden shelves, neat rows of reused bottles proudly wear handwritten tags. Homemade syrups, infused oils, and kitchen potions now live in what once held soda or wine. This is how a kitchen remembers, not through gadgets, but through the things we choose to keep, reimagine, and repurpose. Each label tells a story of care, of resourcefulness, of homemaking that values essence over excess. And then there's the wall-mounted spice rack, a wooden frame cradling dozens of repurposed glass bottles, each filled with herbs and goodness. Their names scrawled in imperfect handwriting speak to something human, real, honest. This is the heart of cottage living, not perfection, but presence. Sun spills across the labels like a blessing. You don't need a fortune to make a home feel rich. You only need your hands, your time, and your eye for the unloved. That olive oil bottle? It could hold fresh basil. The jar from yesterday's jam? Now it's time's new home. So let these pictures be your gentle invitation to look around, to pause before tossing, to see potential in the ordinary, and to decorate not with things, but with meaning. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you wash your dishes by the window, those little glass bottles will catch the sun, and your heart too. "17. Laundry with a soul." There's something deeply soulful about a quiet laundry space bathed in soft morning light. It hums not with noise, but with purpose. In this little English cottage corner, life slows down. Here, ordinary glass bottles, once forgotten, begin a second life, not as waste, but as beauty reborn. Lined up along the windowsill, these bottles cradle wildflowers and herbal stems, lavender, mint, daisies, gathered with intention. The light dances through the clear glass, casting soft reflections on the white countertop and warming the neatly folded linens nearby. The towels, still slightly textured from the line dry, rest as if waiting for hands that care, for chores done with love. This isn't just decoration, it's a reminder that sustainability can be gentle, fragrant, and beautiful. Move across the room and you'll find a wooden shelf, modest yet poetic in its presence. Upon it stands a thoughtful arrangement of dried orange peels, lavender buds, and ivory soap flakes. Each bottle holds more than contents. They hold ideas of reuse, of warmth, of a home that values the honest simplicity of the everyday. This tiny apothecary of scents brings freshness to a mundane space, while adding rustic visual charm. In a nearby basin, hand-labeled bottles of homemade detergent and fabric softener tell stories of care. The kind of care that doesn't rely on mass production, but on thoughtful hands blending nature with need. It's the kind of quiet defiance that says, I can make this myself. And with recycled bottles as the vessels, it becomes a declaration that sustainability is not only achievable, it's enchanting. This is more than interior design. It's a lifestyle of soft rebellion, a gentle revolution where eco-conscious choices blend with nostalgic aesthetics. It's about bringing personality into forgotten corners of the home. A fabric-softened breath of countryside air, bottled and brought inside. Tips hidden in charm. If you're inspired to recreate this, begin by saving bottles that speak to you. Look for shape, clarity, and size. Let wild herbs or dried petals become your palette. A simple label or handwritten tag turns storage into storytelling. Use old wooden shelves, crates, or even wall-mounted planks to display your arrangements. Let your laundry room speak in its own language, fresh, fragrant, and filled with love. Because sometimes, the most magical transformations happen not in the grand rooms, but in the places where you fold, rinse, and refill. Where you slow down and rediscover that even cleaning can be beautiful. "18. Bathroom with gentle light." In the hushed hours of the morning, before the world rushes in, there's a kind of magic that lingers in a quiet cottage bathroom. The lace curtains, slightly ruffled by a sleepy breeze, let in a soft, golden glow. And on the sill, in the company of warm light and cool porcelain, stand delicate glass bottles, once forgotten vessels, now reborn into something quietly poetic. These recycled bottles, each with its own history, now cradle soft pink blossoms. A single petal has fallen, resting like a sigh against the window ledge. There's no need for symmetry here, just a sense of intention and care. This is not just decoration. It's a daily ritual of gentleness. It's how an ordinary bathroom corner becomes a sanctuary. Next to the clawfoot tub, a vintage silver tray holds glass jars filled with coarse bath salts, lavender buds, and homemade oils. There's something deeply satisfying about this setup. Not curated for perfection, but for personal peace. For the feeling of your hand reaching for that jar and knowing exactly what's inside, because you made it. The soft grains of salt, the scent of lavender carried in from the garden, the recycled apothecary bottles, all speak of a life that values the slow and the meaningful. On the porcelain sink, 2 frosted bottles hold rose water and eucalyptus. Their silhouettes are gentle and subdued, frosted like memories. The cool touch of eucalyptus mixed with the sweetness of rose. It's like balancing earth and air in your morning ritual. And it's entirely possible to create this moment for yourself. An empty bottle becomes a new beginning. A handful of herbs from your backyard can transform your space. Old perfume bottles, vinegar jars, or juice flasks can be cleaned, filled, and placed with purpose. There's no need for polish, just honesty. That's the heart of the English cottage spirit. So, if you're standing in your own bathroom, wondering what might soften the edges of your day, look no further than your recycling bin, your windowsill, and the first flowers of the season. Let your space breathe again, with light and scent and second chances. "19. Restful bedroom echoes." In a quiet English cottage bedroom, where sunlight leans gently through lace curtains, a story of slowness and serenity unfolds, not through grand furniture, but through delicate, meaningful touches. On a narrow wooden shelf above a restful bed, tiny glass bottles tell tales of simplicity. Each one holds a whisper of calm, lavender sprigs, chamomile blossoms, and dried mint leaves, perfectly preserved in time. These aren't store-bought jars. They're recycled, once cradling water or juice, now reborn into vessels of scent and peace. A soft golden hour light slips through the window pane, brushing their curves like a lullaby. Along a vintage dresser, a row of roses stands still in their faded glory. Each bloom rests in its own glass bottle, each bottle wrapped in a note, perhaps an old poem, a love letter, or a quiet reflection. The handwriting is imperfect. That's what makes it human. It invites anyone passing by to pause, breathe, and feel the charm of something made by hand. This is not just decor, it's emotion preserved. A quiet invitation to remember someone, or to remember yourself. As twilight arrives, a subtle magic flickers awake. By the bedside, a soft cluster of bottles now glows from within. Tiny fairy lights swirl inside the glass, like bottled fireflies captured from a summer dream. No loud lights, no screens, just a warm pulse of stillness. These DIY bottle lamps aren't only budget-friendly, they're healing. They're like a whisper to the soul saying, "Rest now. You are safe here." And here's something you can try. Save your next glass bottle. Whether it once held soda or a special wine, rinse it clean. Slip in a dried bloom, a personal note, or a soft string of lights. Let it be your quiet rebellion against throwaway culture. Let it be your tiny monument to beauty and mindfulness. Because in this world of rushing and noise, sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to craft something gentle. With time, with hands, with heart. Let your bedroom become a space of echoes, of memory, of love, and of soft, flickering peace. Backyard Time Capsule. Let us now wander into a quiet corner of the world, where memories hang gently on weathered fences and nature's whispers are kept safe in bottles once forgotten. This is not just a garden, it is a time capsule. A living story stitched together by the hands of those who believe that beauty lies in the gentle marriage between creativity and care. In the first scene, rows of clear glass bottles hang along a rustic wooden fence, each with a number, perhaps a year, perhaps a moment. Inside, tiny treasures are preserved: shells, tokens, pressed petals, and bits of life's debris that once meant everything to someone. It's simple. It's soulful, and you can do it too. Save an old bottle, label it, tuck a keepsake inside, a dried bloom from your first date, a train ticket from a journey you'll never forget, a button from a child's coat. Hang them with twine, let the seasons wash over them, and watch your fence become a tapestry of time. Beneath an old oak tree, more bottles rest like offerings, each one adorned with flowers, wild and whimsical, and scrolls of parchment tied in twine. Names, dates, maybe poems. There's something eternal in this ritual. It reminds us that even the smallest things deserve to be remembered. You could begin this ritual too. Write letters to your future self, tuck them into bottles, and revisit them on a sunny afternoon next summer. Make it part of a family tradition, or a secret only you and the tree share. And then, like a whimsical clock that forgets time but remembers seasons, glass bottles form a circle in the soil, each one glowing with the colors of nature. Autumn leaves, spring blossoms, a splash of green herbs or the violet of summer wildflowers. In the center, moss like velvet. No ticks or tarks, just the rhythm of life in bloom and decay. This is a piece you could craft with children, with friends, or all alone during a quiet Sunday morning. Each season, fill a bottle. Watch your clock bloom across the year. What makes these ideas so magical is not just their charm, it's their accessibility. You need not spend. You only need to notice. An empty bottle, a walk in the woods, a sliver of memory. Repurposing is a form of reverence for the past, for the earth, and for the small, forgotten things that still hold meaning. So next time you hold a bottle meant for the bin, pause. Perhaps it's not waste, but a vessel waiting to carry wonder. The Garden's Secret End. In a quiet corner of an English cottage garden, far from the clinking of cups and the chatter of morning sparrows, lives a secret waiting to be stumbled upon. It's not hidden in shadow, but in stillness, where the ivy curls like a slow dance along the stone walls, and the afternoon sunlight drapes the earth like a soft linen sheet. Here, the humble bottle, once discarded, is reborn. No longer a vessel for wine or cider, but a keeper of flowers, delicate stems of wild daisies, lavender, or Queen Anne's lace rest within, as though the glass had always been waiting to bloom. These bottles, placed gently among the garden's edge, form a kind of silent poetry. They ask for nothing, but offer a feeling of calm, of reverence, of being home. Just a few steps away, a winding garden path draws your eye with quiet wonder. It is flanked by recycled glass jars, each cradling a single glowing candle. As dusk falls, this trail becomes a river of golden fire, leading toward a wooden bench tucked beneath a flowering tree. It's the kind of place where time loosens its grip, perfect for reflection, storytelling, or simply breathing more deeply than you did all day. And then, perhaps the most enchanting sight of all. An old tree stands in the heart of the garden, its arms stretched wide, heavy not with fruit, but with dreams. Dozens of glass bottles dangle from its branches, catching the filtered sun like stained glass. Inside each one, a treasure, a faded paper wish, a pressed petal, a memory sealed in time. They sway gently with the breeze, whispering secrets only the wind can hear. Want to bring a touch of this quiet magic into your own garden? Start simply. Save your bottles, wine, soda, or vinegar, any shape will do. Clean them well, then invite them into your green sanctuary. Use garden twine to hang them, tuck them among wildflowers, or line your walkways with candlelight. Add a handwritten note or a bloom you picked at dawn. Let each bottle hold a story, your story. You don't need grand plans or expensive materials. All you need is a bit of time, a little love, and the willingness to see beauty in the overlooked. In an age where noise often drowns meaning, these small recycled touches offer us something rare. A place to listen, a place to feel, and most of all, a place to simply be. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.